They still think, oh, language should be testing, grammar study, memorize vocabulary. That's all about the language learning. Okay, but my intuition, my heart is that no, that doesn't work. Because that doesn't work for myself. That doesn't work for my past experience. I've been using that in teaching. 8 years ago, I used a grammar approach. That doesn't work. But now I'm become the administrative level of professor. I can make a difference. I'm going to change. I would like to follow my heart. My heart tells me what is better way, what is wrong way. But I still face challenges. How can you convince, persuade your boss? Who is my boss now? 校长. How can you convince your higher ranking people your idea? How can you convince your colleague, 其他的教授，外文系的 they already have the very traditional thinking. I still have to work with them. If I say, okay, I'm going to do this, I don't teamwork with other people, the thing is never done. Because after I step down, 如果我下台了, they will restore the system. So now I communicate to them. I give them research paper. I send the paper to president. If this paper is easy to read, not the academic, too much academic, I will send to them, send an email to them. Look at what the research say. Okay? Do you know what I'm talking about? I tell you my personal experience, my story. So what does that mean? Courage to follow your heart. I know if I say, okay, from now on, our English education, we don't let a student taking too much unnecessary test. Unnecessary. We should let a student, trust student, to really enjoy reading. Trust. I find when I communicate with other teachers, a lot of teachers don't believe that we can trust students. They think student cannot be trusted. Student, if you don't force them to read this, they will never do that. I said, no. My personal experience, some students need guide, some students need courage, but student, I believe you, Reka. I believe what you said. This is an honor system. I find that works. Sometimes it doesn't work for some student. Some student cheated me. I know. I am sad about that. But I still look at the bright side. Not every student do that. So some people's behavior, or when you listen to something, some story that will touch your heart, will encourage you to do something you think is right. Okay? So I hope this kind of message can be transferred down to you. If you think this is just a simple article, yeah, that's true, it is simple. But if you think it's not simple, there are a lot of things inside. That's not simple. That's not simple. To me, it's not a simple article. Okay? They can have a language function to help you language, but it's much, much beyond this. Okay? They have a life lesson. They have a life lesson because everybody nowadays very, very stressful. I feel student worry. maybe worry about their research, worry about their academic, worry about tests. But if you compare your situation with Steve Jobs, you will find it's nothing. It's just a dot. It's a dot in your life. Okay? This chapter, I think I particularly chosen this time because sometimes I find students need more confidence. You remember 3 weeks ago I shared with you plateau, right? Plateau. You think that you are not improving very much. You work very hard, you do every day or every week, read, go to the language center, but you find yourself maybe speaking not improve so much. It is because in our language development process, we call a silence period. You take input, but haven't internalized your, what we call a passive vocabulary into your active. So you take the input. Can you understand me? Passive vocabulary. Did I show you? Did I share this idea with you? No? There are 2 kinds of vocabulary. Vocabulary, you know? Passive. What is passive? Passive voice, 被动的. Passive. Passive just means passive, the opposite, the flip side of the passive is active. Active means, okay, you want to speak. You can use that vocabulary and use it correctly. That is active. Okay, so the more active vocabulary you have, you can speak more broad idea, right? Passive vocabulary, however, is the vocabulary that you hear, you read, you know, but you may probably still have the difficulty using it in writing and in speaking. So passive vocabulary refers to what you heard. Maybe you understand my speech today. You can understand without any problem. But which doesn't mean that you can speak like the same way like me. Do you understand me? The passive you receive, the active you output. Okay, so here is the idea. You must have this amount of passive because our active is always a small subset of your. Our active is always the subset of the whole passive. Okay? Even native speaker, what they know the word passively, it's much, much, much larger than they frequently use word with confidence. Okay? But the truth is that the problem is that most language learners don't even have a large passive. And the second language learner work hard, they listen a lot, they have a lot of passive, but haven't yet to transform from passive to active. And then before they succeed, they quit. They stop listening, they stop reading, and they quit. They go back to use a traditional grammar study, memorized vocabulary approach. You know, that's really sad to a language teacher. So I told my Chinese student the same thing. Maybe you 听到冰箱. Yesterday we learned 冰箱, 电冰箱, 电视机, something about a 电. Maybe you can understand, but when you find yourself have difficulty speaking, don't get frustration. That's your passive vocabulary. But you're speaking relying on internalize. And one day you will say 电子冰箱 very quickly. Okay? So don't lose faith. Don't lose your self-confidence. This is about this article. That's it. I share with you the passive and active. Very important concept. Okay? This chapter is about developing self-confidence and low anxiety. You know anxiety, right? Anxiety. What is anxiety? Yeah, if I walk down to you, you feel worry. That's anxiety. Okay. Why low anxiety helpful?